Hey, good evening. It's Tuesday evening. I might kind of be on time, kind of, sort of. How is everybody tonight? It's been a week. It's been a weekend. I feel like the week kind of just started today. I don't work Mondays, but this weekend was crazy. I did my 3-day Access Consciousness body class. I did it local here with one of the certified facilitators up in Buffalo Grove, if you're local to me. And her name's Helen Gitlovich, and it was something. Hi John. It was definitely something. Sorry, I'm adjusting my tripod. I didn't mean to make it jump. It was something amazing. I wish I could have words for it. It's funny, afterwards she sort of asked for a quick testimonial, and I was like, words. It's hard. I'm like, I should go on here and talk about the body class. I'm like, I never really know what to say about it. It was a lot of space, a lot of lightness and movement and chaos all at the same time. And I know you're like, okay, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. And I'm sorry to tell you, but I don't think I can explain it better. What I will tell you is during that class, a lot of stuff kind of blew up with the whole family situation with my mom and the surgery and all the stuff I've kind of mentioned briefly. So as a result, I booked a last minute trip to Texas. So I'm going to do that this weekend. And I'll be back Tuesday morning. So expect me to be very, very tired next Tuesday night when I get on here to do this. But I will plan to still get on here to do this. So it should be really interesting. And what's interesting about energy is that, I went into this weekend and it was body processes to clear all sorts of energies that are stuck in the body. And so much came up. There was so much chaos that sort of came up and out of that kind of my phone was blowing up, family members kind of freaking out about a number of things. And I still felt space, which was also interesting, that everything kind of came up and I was like, okay, what's required of me here? And I kind of came to the conclusion at the end of the class, when I could think back on kind of a normal trajectory, that maybe what was required was that I actually go down there. So that's how that decision came to be. But it wasn't so urgent that I got on a plane right that second. So I sort of at least had the week to plan this out. So we'll see how this goes. I'll let you know. But that being said, friends invited John. I promise you don't want to go. This is not going to be like a fun trip. This is definitely like family stuff. So good fun, right? So, but something I kind of threw out there on my Facebook page that you're watching on, what is it that you guys would really like me to talk about? And I had a couple different suggestions and some things I think I'll get into over the next few weeks. But somebody said confidence, and somebody else I think kind of seconded that. And that's something I really spend a lot of time talking about is talking about self-confidence. And that's kind of what I do. And so there's lots of different facets of self-confidence. But the first thing that definitely came up in this body class this weekend was all of our judgments and projections and expectations we have about our body and how that gets in the way of all sorts of things. And I don't know that I'm just going to talk about that tonight, but like that was certainly the first thing that came to mind, because we do this interesting thing where we look in the mirror and we start breaking down all the things that we think is wrong with the way we look in our body. And we judge ourselves so harshly, so much more harshly than I think anybody else would ever judge us. And we decide that we're looking old, we're looking wrinkled, we're looking fat, we're looking ugly. All of these things that we sort of project onto ourselves. And bodies don't really have a point of view, but they sort of take on whatever we project at them. So I know this is maybe getting a little bit, I don't know, something different maybe for some of you, but really we are beings that have bodies. We are infinite beings, and we are not our body, and our body is not us. We are beings in a body. And really, to be more specific or more accurate, I guess is the right word, is really we are a being that has a body inside of it. We are bigger than our body. And to kind of demonstrate that, if you close your eyes and feel the outside edges of you will very quickly find that you expand beyond your body. So with that sort of assumption in mind, we are beings that have a body, and we are really mean to our bodies a lot of the time. And we look at ourselves in the mirror and we put ourselves down and decide what's wrong with us and judge that about us. And our body sort of says, okay, so you want more wrinkles. Okay, you want more fat. Whatever it is that we've sort of projected onto ourselves, and that's sort of what we create. And if we had a different relationship with our bodies, if we could have a love, appreciation, gratitude for our body, what else could be possible then? So I might invite you, if this is you, if I'm talking to you and you're like, yeah, that's totally me. I beat myself up all the time about my body and it's not good enough and I always feel ugly, or I'm not the right size, or I don't like the way these clothes are fitting on me, and all the things, all the ways that we really put ourselves down and judge ourselves about our bodies. I might invite you to think of it differently and to even write a letter of gratitude to your body of what are you grateful for? That you are able to walk, if you are able to walk, that you're able to move. I remember when my grandma was nearing death, she had really bad rotator cuffs, and that's like the back of your shoulders kind of, and she really couldn't lift her hands up. Like she could get to about chest level. And, I remember she said to me, God, I never appreciated my body, just the being able to lift my hands up above my head. And we don't think about those things until we've lost them. What are all the things that your body allows you to do, to move, to run, to play, to cook, to draw? What are all the things that your body is allowing you to experience in your life? And how might you have gratitude for it rather than beating it down all the time? And what if you changed the relationship you had with your body so much so that your body started to change? Does that make sense? So that's one way, right? We judge ourselves in all sorts of ways, and our self-confidence suffers so much because of the judgments that we have on ourselves. And I know that I have talked a lot about interesting point of view, and there's so many wonderful tools in Access Consciousness, but that is still my favorite. And there's a reason, because if we have every thought, judgment, feeling, emotion that comes up, and we start to interesting point of view all of it, every thought that comes up, what a different space that would create, even differently than trying to argue with it and trying to counter it. It's funny, in the world of psychology, I've spent years teaching people, like, if you have a negative thought, counter it with a positive thought. And I'm actually starting to feel like maybe that's not the answer, because it's still a judgment. And if you're judging yourself even as good, right, perfect, are we still in judgment? And does that still allow for this other side of judgment so quickly that we can fall off of that and then find a way to judge ourselves negatively? And if we're judging one thing as good, doesn't that require us to judge something else as bad? So that's sort of an interesting thought this evening. I wanted to share something from this book, Pragmatic Psychology, that I've been in and out of. I've dived into and I've dived back out of. And Susanna Mittermeier is a psychologist, I believe, in Sweden or Austria. I want to say she's from Sweden. She might be living in Austria. That might be right. But she wrote this book, and she talks a little bit about interesting point of view and as it relates to confidence. So I thought this would be really valuable to share with you. And I realized when I went to figure out what I wanted to read from here that I could have read for 4 pages. And I was like, I bet nobody wants to listen to me read 4 pages. So I picked half a page, so bear with me. But she says, what are you choosing? Are you willing to stop judging yourself? How much are you trying to prove that you are good enough and not wrong by proving to yourself and others how smart you are? Proving that you are smart requires constant judgments of yourself. You are in constant surveillance of yourself to figure out whether you are smart enough or not. All that gets accomplished in the smoking head. Another judgment people use is proving how dumb they are, over and over, to not know how smart they truly are. Everybody has their own way of judging themselves out of the capacities they truly have available. Being the greatness that you are would require you to be in total allowance of yourself. Total allowance is where you receive everything and judge nothing. It is where you no longer need to hide anything from yourself and others with the point of view that any part of you is too ugly for others to see. Every ugliness becomes an interesting point of view. It's not real anymore, just an interesting point of view. Let's play with that tool. Take something that you consider wrong, terrible, and ugly about yourself. Now say to that point of view, it's an interesting point of view that I have this point of view. Now look at the point of view again, as it is now, and say again, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. And perceive how it is now, and say it again, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Now look at your point of view again. Is it changing? For points of view and judgments you've had of yourself for a long time, you might have to do this 20 times or more. Do it until it lightens up or you start to relax. Some people start laughing when they do this as they realize how funny it is to have the points of view that they have and how relaxing it is to let them go. So, I just thought that summed it up really well in all the ways that I have talked about interesting point of view as it relates to anything and everything, but certainly as it relates to the judgments that we have of ourselves. And I guess I was like, there's a lot of things I could talk about when it comes to self-confidence, and that's not a 15-minute topic conversation. That's kind of like everything I do conversation. But I guess the one other thing I might add is this idea of how we compare ourselves to everybody else. And it kind of goes along with that, because we look at somebody else and we go, oh, they're prettier than me, they're smarter than me, they're have a better job than me, they're more admired than me, they're funnier than me, they have a better body than me. All the things that we do, that we look at other people, and it's like we're looking at them to know if we're right. I've talked about this before. I know that as a kid, I always, in pictures, videos, whatever, you'd always see me like looking around to see what everybody else was doing, to see if I was right. And it took me until I really got to be an adult, and not like just like I turn an adult in magic, like, right? This took until like, I don't know, the last really couple years to realize that I didn't have to look at everybody else to know if I was right or wrong or good or bad, because none of that mattered anymore. And I think most of us get stuck in that. We're looking around at what everybody else is doing. We're doing comparison. We're doing competition all the time. So we look at everybody else. We look at our coworkers. Are we doing as well as them? Am I making as much as them? Am I doing as good a job as them? Does my boss like me as much as them? It turns, right? I could just keep going. These are all the thoughts that run through our heads. So what if we did the whole interesting point of view with that too? And even if you have this thought of, oh, they're doing this better than me, interesting point of view that I have that point of view. And what if we stop trying so hard to compare ourselves to everybody else, or to be what we think we're supposed to be for everybody else? What if you just did you? What if you went to work and kicked ass for you? Not to prove anything. That's this proving thing, right? It's proving we're smart, to proving we're good. And so in order to prove that we're good, smart, better, doing a good job, working harder, we have to compare ourselves constantly and look to everybody else all the time. But what if you just went in and worked hard? If that's what your job requires, I don't know. What if you just went in and cared and were kind to people and were a freaking rock star? But what if you did it not to see if you're doing better than the guy next to you? What if you just did it? Wouldn't that be lighter? Wouldn't that be more fun? Looking around all the time, trying to compare yourselves to everybody around you. So, I guess that's the challenge this week, and maybe always, is to start looking at how you're comparing yourself to everybody else. How you're trying to win at the rat race. And what is the prize? If you win it all, if they all love you, and you get the raise, and you get all the money, and it's all amazing, is that going to be enough? Are you going to feel good then? Maybe. Until something happens. until the next thing comes up, until the next challenge, until the new person starts and seems like they do better than you or they're liked more than you. And then you go into doubt and comparison again. But if you just go into your life, I just use job as an example, but if you just go into your life and show up as you, as truly being you, what would that create? What lightness could that be? And what contribution could you be wherever you are and in the world if you stepped into being you? Stop this comparison thing, an interesting point of view to all of it. What would that be like? I think I'm going to challenge you to that this week, and I'm going to challenge myself to it too. Since this class this weekend, I've really been working on that interesting point of view for everything that comes up. And, side note, do it in your head. People don't like it when you say out loud to them, interesting point of view. I've done it a few times. It doesn't usually go well. So, and you don't think it with spite. This is, I guess, an important side note. If you're thinking interesting point of view, the idea is in your head to go interesting point of view, not interesting point of view. I mean, whatever, play with it in your head if you want. But the idea is to just let it drop, to just see things without judgment and to work on that. So I have so much more to say about self-love and self-esteem and self-confidence, all the words for it. And I will keep talking about that. It's interesting. I actually was writing up like a PDF today that I'm going to throw out there to you guys if you'd like it, on secrets to self-confidence. And as I was writing those out today, really got me thinking about all the things there is sort of in this topic. And I'm thinking about doing a telecall series with I think I came up with 9 keys. So maybe a 9-call series or something like that. So let me know if that's something you guys are interested in, you think you might like to participate in, something like that. So I'm just brainstorming a little bit right now because I feel like there's a lot has opened and a lot of space. So I hope you guys have a beautiful week. Thank you for joining me on this tonight. I think maybe I went a little longer than usual. Not a lot, a little. So, yeah, I'll be on here next Tuesday night. Like I said, expect me to be totally exhausted, but I might have some interesting stories. So you guys have a great week, and I will see you soon. And if you found this valuable or you know somebody who you think would enjoy it, please share it. Thanks so much, you guys. Have a good night.